real estate biz is drastically changing, and modern real estate success can't be learned in some old course manual. This is everything they never told you about real estate, where industry leaders expose secrets to success, contemporary lead generation, and how to dominate social media. All moderated by your host, the real estate goat and queen of social media, Carrie Soave.
Welcome. I'm your host, Carrie, and I am here with a very special guest, Conrad Zurini. He is the broker owner of Remax Escarpment Realty and now Remax Niagara. And I believe you have 14 offices.
Yeah, 14,
correct?
Yeah, 14. 6 in Niagara. We have 7 in Hamilton, Burlington, and 1 in Oakville. So yeah.
Fantastic. You are growing at a rapid pace, which I love to see. And thank you for coming on today. The title of the podcast is Everything They Never Told You About Real Estate. So let's jump into the ultimate question. What is the one thing that nobody tells new realtors about our industry before they get in?
Well, that's a fantastic question. So we're going to pull the curtain back, right? Totally. You know what? I think that there is that element, you know it well, Carrie, you know it very, very well, that element of psychology and mindset. And you know, your EQ, right? Your emotional quotient. I think that you need a really high emotional quotient to be a realtor. And I think practicing today, especially today, and there's no better time. I'm super excited to be in real estate right now with what's going on. And, you know, we've seen these hills and valleys and opportunities for consumers throughout the last, ever since, throughout the pandemic and even post-pandemic. So I think the key thing that people don't realize is that you need to gauge your client's emotional level. I think you have to, anticipate their needs. I think that's the other thing that people don't realize, that this is something whereby it's so important to understand, your client's customer journey, where there are some gaps in their journey, and be able to anticipate some of the needs throughout the journey. And I think that's what people don't understand. It's not a matter of just writing offers and listing properties. There's a lot to,
yes.
You got to check in with your people, right? Emotionally, right? And you know what? Yeah. And you know what? I always say to everybody, we got to keep our emotions in check because we're managing everybody else's emotions in the transaction. And when people are buying residential, it's an emotional purchase. They get really attached and emotional about the purchase. It's probably going to be the largest purchase that they're going to make in their lives. So yeah, it's understandable. And I don't care what walk of life I was just going to throw something. I don't care what walk of life. And a lot of people, we have people that are their first time buyer, or they bought 3 or 4 properties, captain of industry, or they're working at, in a service job. When it comes to their home, it's 99% emotion, 1% business. And I think, that's what you really have to understand going into it, right?
Yeah. Okay. So I have a question, because our market has changed so much in the last year. Are you seeing that sellers are actually absorbing and getting realistic with the value of their home now compared to, say, last summer, last fall?
Yeah, maybe some people are late to the table on that, and they banked on something, especially if they're looking at, if this is the end, like if they're looking at retiring and really, really downsizing and maybe going to a retirement home or something like that, they're hanging on more. But if you're buying and selling in this market, I think people have got their heads around it. I have a theory that it's like the human gestation period. I'll tell you, to me, it takes 9 months. So this thing all, it happened March, 2022, where, we increased by 25 basis points. And then this whole correction, or, the market shifted in terms of pricing, started to drop pretty rapidly with a quarter point. And then successive reductions there. I think it takes people 9 months to understand that, wait a minute, this is what's happening. Now let's be strategic. And, it's talking to a great realtor and a great mortgage person that you have to help you navigate and strategize through it. But 9 months. So we started to see it in our company. We started to see things happening in December, almost 9 months to the day from March. December, we started to see our appointments, the way patterns were. We started to see an uptick in sales. And end of month inventories in December were really low. So I knew we were going to go into January, February pretty brisk, and we're up 7% in units year to date over over 2022, and probably about maybe another 8 or 9% over 2021. So we could see it coming, and we had enough data to know what was happening. And I think people get adjusted. And you remember back when the stress test came, it took about 9 months for people to realize what that stress test was all about. We thought the world was coming to an end as realtors, but consumers are resilient. I never underestimate the Canadian buyer. It's like a sport for them, I say all the time. Buying real estate's a sport for Canadians. They get back on, they get back on the horse, right?
Yeah, they love it. They really do. So I'm not doing the level of production that I was doing because I am coaching now. I have my podcast. I still do production, but not to the degree that I was. And in this last week, shit is moving. Like I had 4 deals happen in the last week and a half. And for me, it was just wants to lay back and do one a month, you know, it was quite intense. So I'm feeling it. I'm feeling the change in the market right now, which is hopeful. What do you see coming for the rest of the year? What are your predictions?
Well, we're already seeing rate sales, right? So that's the other thing too, right? Rate specials that are happening. Like right now, you can get 4-year for around 4.64. Variables almost 2% higher than that. So I think look, this is a great window in time. Look, there's a lot going on, with Silicon Valley Bank and the other banks and Credit Suisse and all that kind of stuff. And I think what that's going to do is it's actually making the Federal Reserve and the Bank of Canada really think twice about increasing rates. We'll know next week. We'll know how smart we are next week. If there's a 50-50 chance the Fed's talking about 50 basis points. That would be a little bit of a situation for Canada because then we'd be lagging behind them. Then, our dollar will get lower. Then that would increase inflation. Then we'd see probably an increase, coming in the next, 4 to 6 weeks afterwards. So I think this whole situation that's happening with the financial, the banks is kind of showing, these monetary fund people that, hey, listen, we went too far too long and now we got to pause. So I think that's going to be great for the consumer. I think we're going to see, they talked about rates going down in December, maybe December or January of 2024. I think we're going to see it maybe the tail end of the summer. That's love that. Yeah. It's not always an interest rate thing. And I know we put a lot on interest rates, but I think the aggressive nature of how they increase interest rates really, put a lot of people on the sidelines. But look, there's a window of opportunity now. You got these rate specials now, pricing. I do a weekly video. And what we do is we go on our website and we see what was the neighborhood that is the most, either we go to a listing that's off the charts that people were looking at, or we look at a neighborhood in our region that was up high, and it's Westdale today. It's like around McMaster. So I'm going to be doing my video there. You know what we're seeing? It's interesting. We're seeing like it is totally a seller's market there now. Prices increased 3% from last month. So I always say consumers know, right? They can feel it, they can taste it, they can see it, and the activity that's happening there. And that's also true that people now, if their kids are going to go to university, they had their kid first year, now they think about buying real estate. But right now, the price to buy a detached is like somewhere in the 700s, mid 700s. It got as high as $1 million. It's a buy, like it's a huge buy right now. And if you've got a kid going to university, now's the time to get into that market because you got this nice little window. Rates are okay. This is the time to go in and buy because now that whole market could take off very, very quickly.
Yeah. Now let's shift the conversation a little bit towards agents. So I coach agents. You coach a lot of agents. Let's be honest. You're in charge of their education and helping them along as the broker owner of your brokerage. What do you think is the biggest struggle of new realtors right now?
Well, I think they're getting their head around that it's like we don't make people's dreams come true and we don't buy and sell homes. It's really about client acquisition. I think that's the biggest stumbling block, I think. And people really have to understand that, it's about lead generation and channels of lead generation and really honing in on that and creating systems in and around that. I think that's paramount. And I know you know it so well, and a lot of your listeners are in tune with it. But I really, really believe that they have to come in and how am I going to create business? Okay. And, I'm just working on a course right now that it's like these 40 commitments that you have to make it in any market. And and I'm telling everybody, no fucking cherry picking. Like, this is it, guys. Like, think like a CEO. Okay. And there's so many things that we've been told, go an inch wide and a mile deep. Well, sometimes you got to go a mile wide and an inch deep. You know what I mean? Like, the thing about culture eats strategy for lunch. Well, no, wait a minute. Sometimes you got to be strategic. So I think it's a matter of pulling all these together and understanding that there's some commitments and decisions you have to make to build a business like any other business. Okay. And I think the onus is on you to create those channels, either networking or really honing in on great online lead generation and the client experience, doing what you're doing, this podcast. Like, I think, to me, most realtors should have a podcast and really go. I'm telling you, the other thing I'm going to tell new realtors, I'll tell you, first-time buyers, they're going to be coming back, and I think you have to help them be strategic about how to be able to buy, bring in their parents earlier, and things like that. I think first-time buyers are going to be the momentum that's going to take us through the rest of the market. But Carrie, I got a question for you. You're coaching agents, right? Yeah. Have you seen a shift in their mindset, or like if you could categorize agents today, right? Like, if you could put them in 3 buckets. Mm-hmm. What would you do? Forget about tenure, like not new and senior and whatever, but where is their mind today? And put them in 3 buckets, like, from fear to excited. You weren't expecting me to ask you a question, were you?
I know. So there definitely are at least 3 buckets. I would say that because I charge money for my coaching program to the general public, those people are paying a lot of money to learn. So they fall into one of 2 categories. They're either a very successful agent looking to scale, mm-hmm. and knowing that they need to learn new systems and they need to be on the cutting edge of technology, which is what I offer, and in order to do it. And then I have highly motivated newer agents, not brand new, but around 2, 3, 4 years. Mm-hmm. The ones that, made a good living in our crazy market. And now they're really feeling the pressure because the sales aren't there right now. Yes. So they are highly motivated and they are willing to learn. And because they're spending a lot of money on my course, they are doing the work. But I got to tell you, and you're going to know exactly what I mean when I say this. I do coaching for free within my downline at EXP. And when it's not, when they're not paying for it, the mentality is a lot different. I will show you and tell you exactly what to do every single day of your freaking life, but it's up to them to do it. And the motivation is not there. I feel like we have way too many realtors in our industry that are not willing to do the work it will take to build a business. Mm-hmm. They want a free handout. They want a lead gen company. They want a team to spoon feed them. They want to make a lot of money, but for some reason, when they got into this industry, they thought that it was easy to make money, and it is farthest. Like, when I first started, I was told by, I think I was working with Giacomo Lupino, at Royal LePage, and he helped me on my first deal. And he said, Carrie, expect to, take 5 years to really make a good living at doing this. And I know we went through a crazy market, but that still stands firm. I still stand firm on that theory because it's a mathematical equation to me. It's your database, working your database properly, adding leads to your database. Over time, that will result in sales as long as you're doing everything properly. But, these agents that were killing it, 2021, 2020, right? Because it was free to borrow money. So everybody they knew, if, they were buying property. Now they're starting from scratch and they're trying to wrap their head around the fact that, I am a new agent all over again, and I have to cancel out the last 2 years of my career because now is when I'm actually building my business. So would you agree with those 3 buckets?
Oh, I agree with you 100%. I think what Giacomo said to you about that 5 year is so like it's so valuable. You have no idea. I think, and do people want to hear it? Maybe they do, maybe they don't. But like it's funny. I find when people get into real estate, they just think it's going to be like this quick ride to whatever, right? But I don't think if I open up a business, if I open up a restaurant or whatever, or a retail store or whatever it might be, it takes so much time. And even us as we expand our business, we moved into Oakville and we had some great results, but will I be profitable in my first year? No. Will second year, maybe, I don't know. Probably I'll see some profit. I'll see some light at the end of the tunnel in third. But yeah, by the time I'm, at 5 years, I'm going to be, running and again, people are always testing you when you get into a new market. So it takes about, 3 to 5 years for people to really understand where you're coming from. Same thing with real estate as well. Like, how long does it take for people to understand, like, if they know your name and know what you do, like you have to have 16 interactions by the time they even figure out you're a realtor. You know what I mean? So think about that in those terms.
And
right?
What about the fact, Conrad, that back in the day when I joined this industry, which is 13 years ago, the competition wasn't as vast in realtors. So I was able to work my SOI properly and gain the traction quicker. I feel like newer agents joining today, because everybody knows like 10 realtors now. That wasn't the case 13 years ago. So I think that's another obstacle that they're dealing with, and why my main thing is, what are you doing differently? What are you doing to set yourself apart? It is not good enough just to do what everybody else is doing.
Oh, totally.
Right?
Yeah. I agree. And and people fall down that whole rabbit hole and watch what other people are doing. And some things work for some people and some things, work for others. My pet peeve is I can't stand seeing free market evaluation. It's driving me crazy. Like everybody has the brochure, free market evaluation or confidential free market evaluation. Like, are you kidding me? Maybe we should start charging for it. Maybe it'd be worth something. Like, again, I think, look, consumers aren't going to fall for that. I think what you're doing here, this platform is amazing. I'm a firm believer in education marketing. I think that's what people are looking for. And it's all about that. And I think you can start to build and grow. And look, today, if you take the right path when it comes to education marketing, using social, video, all that kind of stuff, you take that right path today, you will probably condense that 5 years and probably into 2.5 to 3. You start to build a following. People understand, what you're all about. I always say there's only 2 things that the consumers care about. You're always thinking of them, and you've got a tailor-made program for them, like something bespoke, and you're always thinking of them, and they're always on your mind. Okay. And the other thing is that you're an expert in the industry. Well, what better way to show you're an expert in the industry, but doing what you're talking about right now, and these types of platforms where you're educating consumers. Like, I think that's the key right there. And yeah, you're right. There's been the last 2 years, I always, I make a joke, like a monkey could have sold a naked monkey could have sold a home in 2021, Yeah. But then I said a monkey with a suit could have sold it in 2019. You know what I mean? I flip it around. But, today, and that's why I'm excited about this business today. Like, I think that this is the biggest opportunity for realtors of quality, like the people that you're coaching, like quality people know their stuff. Look, I don't know if you followed it, but Fair Square closed down in Canada. We were very fortunate. We ended up getting about 20 of their agents that came and joined us. We got about 100. We got 100 of their listings assigned as well to our company as well. And we were super pleased with the opportunity. And I think Fair Square looked at the landscape, saw that we were like a regional brokerage, and they liked what we had to say, and how we were going to treat their clients, the client journey and their clients, and how we were going to treat their realtors. And we were the brokerage of choice in Ontario, and we were pleased and honored to be able to do that. So, and it's interesting, that we. Thank you. So, but what it did is it told us that there are that model, there is a segment of the population that are interested in that model, but the market got so complex that model there were some cracks in the armor in terms of that model, and people really wanted to gravitate towards more consultative realtor, that kind of consultant type thing, deeper consultant, and more in the trenches. And I think that says a lot about where things are going and the direction, and that's why I'm super excited about the business. And I'm writing my blog right now. It's the canary in the coal mine, and I'm wondering, what was the canary in the coal mine to me? Was it when we saw layoffs in the tech sector? Is it the bank that just, is it Silicon Valley Bank? Is it some of the other banks? What was the canary in the coal mine? Was it Fair Square closing down in Canada? You know what I mean? What's set this thing in motion that we've got this new period of time in real estate, and that's where people that have experience and have seen market shifts and can educate consumers and looking at the data, that they'll excel. And that's why I love, I hate to use the word vindicated, but I've always felt it's all about empowering the consumer to make great decisions, and we're that conduit, we're that information portal. So and help them make better decisions. Mm-hmm. And
I like what you said about educational content, because I've been huge on social media my entire career, right? Everybody knows who I am on social media. However, as of late, I've had to pivot my content so that it's more educational and it's more valuable to the consumer, because as more agents come to these prospecting methods, it gets flooded. So you have to shift and do things a little bit differently and provide value. And what I tell the students that I coach is, if you want to use social media as your prospecting method, that's fantastic. But you are dealing with people who have never met you before. Mm-hmm. So the number one most important thing is to educate and be authentic, because you need to build trust with somebody who's never met you before for them to even consider you. And education is the fastest way to do that. I see you're very up on technology, right? Mm-hmm. I believe you guys, did your brokerage sign up with KV Core as well? I believe most of the Remaxes did. I think some Page. Mm-hmm. Well, okay, so EXP led the way, and then Royal LePage, and then we followed suit. Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I love it. I have got to tell you, I could not live without KV Core. I don't know how deep you guys have got into it, but it is fantastic. Like, I automate all of my systems through KV Core. You're going to love it. And your agents that utilize it are going to be freaking rock stars. So that's absolutely so important. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Sorry, go ahead. No, I was just going to say, No, I was going to say again, and like, how many, to not have something like KV Core, a platform like KV Core, or your like a CRM or whatever in this business, especially newbies coming in, like they're to not grasp onto those tools from day one, it's a real shame. And the adoption rate is not there either, and that's the other. What do we get? 15-20% adoption rate? It's kind of sad. That's the big question for people like you and me. How do we get adoption rate higher? Is the question, right? And I know you can train and show results, but it's still, that's the biggest question I think we all have, right? The biggest issue that people in your or my position have, right? Adoption, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I gotta tell you though, the last run of my coaching program, the reason I sold it to a lot of Remax and Royal LePage agents was because I implement KV Core in it, and I cover it in the first session. I get it all out of the way. And they were like, holy shit, this is a system and a half. We had no idea what we can do with this. Like, they had no clue, right? But it's also to blame for what you were talking about, seeing all those free home evaluation landing pages. That's KV Core, right? Yes, I know. I know. We got to step out of that whole thing. Have you done any experimenting with ChatGPT?
You know what? No, but I've been following everybody else that has. I'm kind of like, I love writing. I'm a writer, and I write all my content, and I write all my own courses. So I'm a little kind of leery, but I see there's a huge opportunity there. Look, we have a neighborhood website. We built a lot of that neighborhood content, but you know what? I probably could have. I think what we're doing now is we're going to test it out with what we wrote about certain neighborhoods and have go on that platform and do the same thing and just see what we kind of get going forward. Yeah, I think it's a great tool. And I've seen some great poetries about real estate and realtors. I've seen the topics. It's pretty amazing. How about yourself? You've really played around with it, or?
I use it extensively. Because my production isn't my 100% of my energy in my business right now. I don't have an admin right now because of that, because it doesn't make sense for me. So ChatGPT acts as my admin. It does everything for me. I ran a seminar on it, and one of the brokers from EXP came on just to kind of see what I was doing. And as soon as I started explaining exactly what I use it for, I get down to the clauses part, and he's like, I gotta go. I gotta sign off. I can't listen to this and be a witness to this, because the things that it can do, if you prompt it correctly, are amazing. You know what I mean? I've created drip campaigns, text and email drip campaigns with it. That's your tip. It. Create your drip campaigns with it.
I think it's it's amazing. Listening. Yeah, I think it's super smart. Well, I always talked about. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say.
Go ahead.
Sorry, we have a little bit of a lag. I was going to say, if you have agents that are producing, are motivated, Conrad, but they aren't at the stage where they can hire an admin yet, I would push them to explore ChatGPT, because it really will pick up the slack for an admin for that in-between agent, right?
Oh yeah, I agree. It's funny. I teach a course called Words That Sell. And, what I do is I get like 50 people come to the class, and I pull their extra remarks, right? I pull all their extra remarks and I read them. I don't tell, I read them. And some of these extra remarks are just like, I'm not saying extra remarks are the kicker, but if you think about the customer journey, right? They're searching through, listings, and they flip at photos, and maybe they'll look at that virtual tour, maybe not, it depends. And then when they kind of narrow it down to the ones, I think they're just eliminating ones, but then when they get to the list that they like, then they'll go to those extra remarks. And I think those extra remarks, the way some people write them, they just reiterate where the neighborhood is or what the address is. It drives me crazy. And I've always felt that people should blog. People should blog about their listings with hyperlinks to different things in the neighborhood and whatever. That's where I think where a lot of these guys look at me with like glossy eyed, and they say, oh my God, Connor, that's extra fucking work. I don't want to do that. But now with ChatGPT, they can actually write a blog about the listing and the neighborhood and all that kind of stuff with hyperlinks. Now their lives are a lot easier. Now they can actually do some of the stuff I've been telling them to do for the last 10 years. And again, keyword rich, Google loves it, all that kind of stuff, right? And it'll just kind of make, put their listing a lot higher and stuff like that. So yeah, I think it's got some tremendous use for all of us. Definitely. I'm totally into it. I think anything that can help us or bring it on. It's interesting you say about the assistant. I'm the people with an assistant and whatever. That's an interesting, like the first hire, like, and again, the describing that job description of that first hire. It's very interesting. What's your opinion on that? What's your first hire as a team? Like if I was starting a team today, or I've got 3-4 years under my belt. I'm kind of getting it over my head, doing a lot of the stuff myself. So what's my first hire and what's the job description?
Okay, so I have a theory for this, and it's just a personal opinion. And I had a team for, a length of time.
Yes. Yeah.
I didn't do it properly because I was at Royal LePage, and my broker, we didn't have teams at our brokerage. So I had no guidance towards it whatsoever. So I just kind of I winged it. I just kind of tried to figure it out for myself. And if I were to go back and do it again, I would hire as many virtual assistants as I can to cover absolutely everything, paper-wise, digitally, and then an in-person assistant that would be like a personal assistant to take care of any legwork and any in-person stuff. And then I would hire buyer agents. I would not have a formal team because of the liability. I don't want to go back to that. I would just have a contract with 1, 2, 3 buyer agents. And my job going forward would literally be to meet people in person, and everything else would be taken care of. That would be my route next time around.
No, it's great. I think it's excellent. I'm with you because, I believe like that first, that hire, that first physical hire that you talked about, look, when I got an operations manager in my business, it changed my life. Okay. Because I'm a firm believer you can't have sales and service, right? Like, so I was out doing the sales, recruiting and all that stuff, but I was really bad at that operations side. And I think most people are. Some people are really maybe good at that operations side and bad at the sales. So they got to give their head a shake and figure out their role. But I found that for me, I found getting that operations manager really set me apart from my competition going forward. And now I have 2 operations managers, right? So that kind of and I've got a very flat org chart. Like I'm not the top of the pyramid here. I'm in a group of specialists. So I'm in a group of specialists, and my operations people are probably at the top of the 2 of them are at the top of the heap right now. So I'm just like, I try to do things that I'm really, really good at, and as a brokerage owner and stuff like that. And I found that operations piece was paramount to my success. And I think that's what people really have to look at, more of an operations person, because you said there are all those little bits and pieces that are getting done by those virtual assistants, and then this operations person kind of coordinating them. I think it's a fucking winner. Totally. Yeah.
Well, Conrad, let's talk about, the elephant in the room when it comes to hiring your first hire. And you know what it is? It's fear. So many of us have this fear mentality around spending money in our business. And that, I think, is the biggest obstacle for agents to scale. And they need to do it in order to get to that level that frees up their time to do money-making activities, correct? However, we have a fear mentality embedded in us. And I'm going to tell you, I'm guilty of that too. I almost fired somebody today that is imperative to my business because I feel like I could do the job better and save a very minimal amount of money, when really I don't have the fucking time to do it. I don't know what I was thinking, you know?
Well,
so
we all go down that slope, right? There's no question. Look, again, realtors are the first guys, and I always call it, they burn furniture to heat their home. So I think a lot of these, a lot of realtors start to see, I don't have any deals pending and stuff in the next 60, 90 days. So instead of looking at, okay, how do I increase my business and get more business down the road, they start to cut expenses. And I think so they burn their furniture to heat their home. So eventually you're going to run out of places to cut. Like I think people have to look at it from the sales side. And going back to your original question, I think that's really, really critical for people in the business, new people in the business. They got to look at it from a sales side, not from a savings side all the time. Look, there's efficiencies, and sometimes things get out of control. Like you have to really look at your cost of sales. I get that. You have to really analyze your cost, what a lead costs you, and get those numbers down pat. I'm a firm believer in that. I'm not saying just spend money willy-nilly. But at the end of the day, sometimes you can start cutting, and then you start cutting marketing dollars, and then you're this secret agent out there, right? And or you move from brokerage to brokerage to find some sort of a better split or what have you, and your business starts to dwindle. I think that is so important that you kind of look at the whole thing as a holistic approach, but you got to look at it from the sales side. And I think, I'm going to talk about an agent in our office, a real rock star, Peter Hogater. I use this example all the time, and he says, don't wait till you can afford it to get that operations person. Don't wait to get it right. Get that right away, because then you're going to have those systems in place and grow together. Come on. Yeah. This is the only business you show up and you got inventory, free inventory, this, that, the other. Like, look, go into it thinking you're going to invest in yourself, invest in your staff and those kind of resources. That's really critical for longevity. And I got to think that that's so important. And what Peter's saying is right. Don't wait till you can afford it. And we all want to cut corners. Look, at the end of the day, the watering hole is getting smaller for us realtors. And there is a lot of realtors. The good news is I heard they haven't done a course for newly licensed in about 90 days. So people are not going into it like they used to, like the rapidity. Yeah, they haven't done it. There hasn't been a course since October to newly licensed because they don't have enough. They keep canceling them. So, but I think in Toronto, there's one realtor for every 124 people. That's not even fucking sustainable. It's ridiculous, right? Over 70,000 TREB members, and they only did like 77,000 transactions. That's very sad. It's a sad, the barrier to entry in this business, and that's the other elephant in the room. The barrier to entry is very, very low. And, these one deal wonders and whatever are not serving anybody well and stuff like that. So look, we have a lot of cleanup on that end, but the people that are rising to the occasion and that 80-20 rule, like 80%, 20% doing 80%. I don't know. I think it's probably maybe 90-10 now that are doing the business, and you're getting some really, really effective people out there that are doing some really, really good business, some really good volume, and are really echoing the client experience. So and speaking of that, we did a bold move. We hired Ritz-Carlton to come to speak to about 150 of our agents. Because I don't know if you know the Ritz-Carlton, but they have the leadership course, and it's all about the client journey, anticipating client needs. So the Ritz teaches companies all over the world, car companies, banks, insurance companies. Yeah. So and you have to get referred to them. So I was able to know somebody that they did a course for. So we're flying the instructor up here in March. He's out of well, we'll see. Maybe we could do something. So it's a full day, and it's going to be, again, it's about. And what's interesting is like the agents. We called agents and specifically invited them, and there were agents that like I didn't even finish the sentence. I said, it's all about that client experience. I said the client experience is. I left it blank, and these guys, some people said it's paramount. It's what's going to take us over the finish line going forward. It's as this industry shrinks, those who rise to that occasion in terms of that customer experience and the customer journey, a better heightened customer journey, are going to really be successful. So I was so amazed that and happy and gratified that something I believed so much in, that most of my agents, they said, you know what, Conrad? Yeah, done. I'm there. Good. When is it? I'll cancel this. Whatever it is, I'm there because I firmly believe in that. So.
That's fantastic. And what you said about the agents falling through the cracks, I feel like it's on the responsibility of a lot of the brokerages. I've never worked at your brokerage. I know you personally. We've spoken. The brokerages that I was at before, they didn't provide any kind of quality advancement or growth to me whatsoever my entire career. Everything that I built, I had to figure out from scratch. And let me tell you, it was fucking hard, a lot of trial and error. But I'm happy that you're doing this for your agents, and you're one of those brokerages that is providing guidance and tools and resources and mentorship, because it is rare right now. And there's just more and more brokerages popping up that don't give you fucking anything. And that's why you have a lot of these lost agents and they're going to leave the industry. And I'm trying to get the message out there. Why are you leaving the industry? Like, just find your tribe. It's not all, it's not all isolating. I had a really interesting conversation with Kathleen Black a few weeks ago, and she said, in general, the real estate industry is very cutthroat and very competitive until you get to the high producers. As soon as you surround yourself with actual business owners and leaders, it is all collaborative. And that is really what everybody should strive for, and all brokerages should strive for in our industry, right? There's more than enough money for everybody, let's work together. So I love that about your brokerage.
Yeah, you know what? It's funny because we started to see a shift in the market because we got a lot of data. We started to see appointments and things like that. We saw numbers shrinking, like Q2 of 2022. So we decided to invest in, we brought in 4 categories of speakers. We had our fall speaker series. So we had a coach that did planning, business planning. And I know Kathleen very, very well. I've spent some time with her in New York. We gone. I think I was her first Inman. Her first Inman in New York. Her and I. She was there, and I had invited her to. I'm a member of Soho House, so we went to Soho House in New York, in Brooklyn. So it was fun. So I have lots of respect. I've been on panels with Kathleen. She's a great industry leader. So we had Red Apple. We had Marianne Gillespie doing business planning full day. We had a mindset coach, Umar Hademi, who's a mindset person so we started with mindset because we felt we had to get people's mindset and pushing the envelope and starting to, instead of saying, oh my God, the sky is falling, to look at that the sky is plentiful. So we had him first. Then we followed it with Verl. We had Verl Workman come in, and he's more of a US style systems kind of coach. Full day with Verl. Then we had Marianne Gillespie, and then we had Danny Wood, who rounded it off with technology. So I wanted to have four buckets. Yeah, and I love Danny too. So he's a really good friend. So we had 4 buckets. And again, I think part of, and we did it because we have our own training center. We have a 120 person training center. So we did it in house, and the whole bit. So, and we made it real easy for everybody. We probably put about 500-600 people through that program, at least maybe about 600 and change. But you know what? It totally made a difference, I think, in building up towards January, February. And we are 7% year to date above 2022. And we are above 2021 as well. So we are super thrilled. I think we're the only company that saw, like, our trading area is still around 30 points, 35 points below 2022. So, so I think some of that investment in our agents and empowering them kind of pushed us over the thing. And I'll give you a little pet peeve. It's funny. I saw a speaker the other day came up on my feed, and they said, stop comparing yourself to 2022 and 2021, go back to 2019. And I say, fuck it. That's bullshit. Like, that's the exact mindset that I'm against completely. If you know what, the people that are comparing themselves to 2019, they're just trying to make themselves feel better. You know what I mean? Look, if you're not growing, you're dying. I don't care what the market is. Like, everybody, realtors like to blame whatever, interest rates, stress test, all this crap. Look in the fucking mirror. Yeah. Right? Look in the mirror. Okay. You're the only one to blame. And if you're not growing, if you're not investing in your business to grow your business, no matter what the market cycles are, get that out of your head about market cycles. You know what I mean? There's so many businesses just grow. They grow organically year after year because they're good, solid, smart, strategic people behind it. So be like that and grow it. And that's what we did. We're 7% over, like, come on, 2021 and 2022, those were anomaly years. 2021 was off the charts, right? Like, total record breaking. Yeah. But we're breaking those records of 2021 and 2022 because we firmly believe we're here to stay. We're a regional brokerage, and we're all about empowering our people and empowering consumers to make better decisions and quicker decisions and the right decision.
Yeah, what you said about comparing, basically not having the correct mindset in this business. Mm-hmm. I don't know about you, but I've dealt with agents that I mentor that, just aren't doing the work, and they always blame everything else. And I actually, a few days ago, I had a conversation with one of them that's like, I think I'm going to go on a team or buy lead generation. And I said, let's hold up for a second, because I don't think anybody's ever told you this in your very long career. You are the problem. You are the problem because you're not doing the work. And why aren't you doing the work? Because I'm honest with people. I'm like, if you want to go door knock and prospect, that's fantastic. you're not going to see any business for at least a year. And you got to do it 5 days a week, 3 to 4 hours a day. And as soon as you stop, you're fucked. People come to me, they think, oh, social media is easy. Social media is a part-time job. Like literally, it's a whole other job. And unless you're doing any of these prospecting methods in the right way consistently, you're not fucking doing your job and you're not going to see any results. So stop blaming everything else and let's take a look at the real problem, that you're freaking lazy, you know? So I deal with that so much and I wish I didn't. I'm sure you deal with it a lot more because you have a lot more agents than I do.
well, the thing is this, and it's you want to lead by example, and look, it's interesting. Like you're in it, you're in the trenches, and so many people are coaches and whatever are not in the trenches. And I know you said you're not doing as many sales, but you're there, you've got that experience, and you know what's happening. I just was recently in Athens speaking to. I did a 2-day function for Remax Greece for the broker owners. Okay, broker owners, recruiters, managers. And what happened was we did that, we did a strategic planning session. I said, listen, let's pretend we're doing a strategic planning session and we're all employees, and we're all partners and employees of Remax Greece. Okay. And, I drew that a square, and then I put a circle in the middle. Right. And then I gave them all sticky notes, gave them all the sticky notes. And I had in the square, it was out. And then in the circle, it was in. Okay. So I said to them, write down, just anonymously, write down on a sticky note, come up to the board, like what's in from now on? Okay, what's something that was going to be really important going forward at Remax Greece? And then what's out? What's a fucking non-negotiable, right? So, again, this stuff, not being on time that kind of stuff, housekeeping things. But then it got really hardcore. And then, so three of the people in the audience put in what's out is speakers that don't live and breathe it. In so many words, which was interesting. We don't want these guys coming out of the sky, right? We want people that have real life experience. So people that have real life experience. So if I want to lead by example, I had to work like our leadership team, we had to work like crazy to get 7% over, right? Between recruiting and training and all that kind of stuff. Because how can I look at everybody and say, guys, you gotta get out there and do what you're saying, do all those systems, be consistent and everything. But if us as a brokerage we're falling behind, then I look like a hypocrite, right? So for me to look, I get agents coming to me all the time and they say, hey, Conrad, oh my God, it's not busy, whatever. I said, well, wait a minute, we're up 7%. Where are you in that? Where are you in that? We're doing our job. Yeah. We're doing our job to make sure we're providing services, tools, whatever it might be, and momentum to get us 7% over last year. What do you can't be slow. Everybody's going like gangbusters. All the data shows, showings, everything is showing it. So kudos to you. Like you said, you did 4 deals. Kudos to you. And I think people are looking for like that genuine people in the trenches. You're doing it every day. Okay. You're talking about your own staff, hiring, whatever, like kudos to you. And I think that's what's really important, because who needs somebody to come up and just start barking out things and they don't live it and breathe it every day. Like maybe their businesses are growing, but they're not growing a business that is our business, is the real estate business and what's going on and how you have to pivot and all that kind of stuff. It's really, it's important that you have that.
As with my coaching program, that's what's made it so successful in such a short amount of time, is the fact that, I feel like I'm the only agent that's actually systemized social media, automated it, integrated it, and set up like pure blueprinted systems. Because any other realtor that's killing it on social media is a big brand. Okay. Can we agree with that?
100%.
And guaranteed, they are not running their own social media. They're hiring a marketing company to do it. So when people come to me, they're coming to me because they know I run all my ad campaigns myself. I created all my systems myself. And that's what they want. They want somebody who is doing it in the trenches, whether it's real estate, any industry, right? Any industry at all.
Mm-hmm.
So that's really important.
Yeah, and it goes back to well, it goes back to what I was saying about, like, can you imagine the Ritz-Carlton? Like, I heard something about 20-some-odd% of their income. You know, their hotels and their hospitality, 27% of their income is this leadership training, which is incredible when you think that they turned this you know, they wanted to win. They got an award back in 1995. I can't remember the history. Back in 1995, they got this great service award, and then they thought, well, you know what? In order for us to maintain this service award, we've got to build more systems and put resources into this whole client experience. And then from there, they went on to, like, now we're going to start to teach other companies to do what we did and to maintain that client experience in their own industry specialty. So it's amazing how you can do what you're doing, like yourself, you know, you're doing that real estate thing, but now you're helping the industry and helping agents to help consumers to along their journey and make better decisions, like a lot of what we're doing. So it's pretty cool. So kudos to you. Amazing.
Thank you so much. And congratulations on your expanding your brokerage and continually adding valuable content and value to all of your agents. So that is, you know, in this day and age, unfortunately, it's rare. So good for you to continue to do that.
Thank you.
And thank you so much for coming on today, Conrad. You're welcome here anytime.
Loved it, Carrie. Thank you. Amazing.
Perfect. Thanks, Conrad.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for listening to Everything They Never Told You About Real Estate. Be sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode. To connect with Carrie or for more information about her coaching program, check out carriesoave.ca or at Carrie Soave and Associates on Instagram and TikTok. Thanks again for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.